So, for the past few hours, I've been working on a script, doing a little research and stuff for a video. And I thought maybe I'd just wing it first and not read the script and see how it comes out. Basically, something occurred to me that, I'm an artist a little bit, and I kind of, when I was younger, I kind of wanted to do comic books and stuff, maybe make games. And sort of occurred to me earlier this year, I guess, around, this past month, maybe. Just kind of been floating through my head. Something like what Jesus said. He said, "He who has will be given more, and he shall have an abundance." The other part of that is he who has little, even what he thinks he has will be taken from him. But my point was, kind of what this video was going to be about, was sort of about how some of the big names in animation, this is what occurred to me. To do a little bit of research to find out, what was their childhood like in their early career? Where did they get started? It turns out, so people like Walt Disney and Hayao Miyazaki, they've been drawing since they was kids. And I have too, but not what it seems like they did. It seems like they did it more. And seems like they got worked a lot harder as kids. Seems like they got worked a lot harder as kids than I did, maybe more than most Westerners today. I don't really know across the board what's average. But yeah, Walt Disney, he when he was in, I think, elementary school, he started getting up early in the mornings to work a paper route that his father had rights to, and then did it again after school. So it's and he did that for 6 years as a kid. Because this was Walt Disney was born in 1901 or something. It was a different time. People worked a lot harder back then, it seems like. And then Hayao Miyazaki, I didn't see where he was working a literal job as a kid. But he did have more responsibilities around the house and whatever property they had. But Hayao Miyazaki in school, in college, before school, even in high school, he was into manga and stuff, and he drew a lot. And he didn't go to college for art, but he did join this sort of society in college that had to do with children's literature. So he'd already been kind of building up this sort of I don't know what you call it, history, I guess, of being in that sort of thing. Walt Disney, he took art lessons as a kid, worked his ass off as a kid, for a kid, as far as for a kid, he did. And then, ended up attending, in high school, I can't remember, the story, I don't have it perfectly straight. I'm not sure if the art institute he went to for some classes was his high school, but he did attend one, and in high school was already getting published for cartoons in the school newspaper. And there was someone else, I think, that did that too. I think Seth MacFarlane, I heard, who made, obviously, Family Guy and American Dad. He was getting published as a kid in some kind of school newspaper or something already. And then, later on, Seth MacFarlane ended up, I think he was a cartoonist, an animator for some Cartoon Network stuff. Not quite sure. But, one of the creators of South Park, I think his name Trey Parker, I want to say. Trey Parker. I think that's right. I couldn't find much information on the dude, something Stone, which is the other guy that made South Park, but Parker was making short films in high school. I think he started at 14, had a camera and just started making films with his friends. And already writing skits for school talent show, already getting in trouble for controversial content in the talent show sketch because of how much fake blood they used in this sketch about a dentist and a patient and all this crap that can go wrong on the dentist table. And they had to call his parents and shit. And he grew up to make South Park, so that trend continued. And he was involved in theater, and some of it was like on the darker humor kind of side. Something like I can't remember everything. One of the things it mentioned was he made sets for like a Little Shop of Horrors play or something like that. I don't know the whole thing. And then what's his name? Forgot his first name. Matt Groening? Is it Matt? I forgot. The guy that made The Simpsons, or one of the main ones. So like, he was making little cartoons a little while, a good bit before The Simpsons came out. He was already interested in that kind of thing. His dad actually was a filmmaker. I don't think he got particularly famous, but he ended up making a little film himself as a kid. And so, basically, the point is a lot of these big names in the industry, they've been doing this stuff since they was a kid. And it kind of just goes to show, he who has will be given more. And it made me think something like, if you wanted to do it, if you wanted to try to get big, get to work, you know? I know that might sound obvious, but what I'm thinking, look at it from a different angle. It's not just if you don't do the work, it won't be worth anything. It's like, if you can just scratch out even a piece of crap sketch 10 times a day, it's more pictures. Maybe try to do better, but like a comic book or a story, if you just write a little bit every day or a few days out of the week, it's like you could sort of like chance yourself into some kind of like life of it, so to speak. That's kind of what I started to do here these past few days. I'm gonna be honest though, I don't know if I want to live a life of like a cartoonist or something, but I guess like if I do more, it's better than nothing. So that's what I've been trying to do, just do more stuff. And not all of it's gonna be the best stuff. And that's like another thing too. And what's the chances the first thing you do is gonna be a hit? And that says another thing about like output and productivity, and I mean volumes and quantity. So like, if you do one thing, you draw like a character design. Let's say you're a kid, you're in school, you want to make some kind of anime one day, and you just decide you're gonna design a character. You know, it don't take one character, it takes like a number of characters. You gotta do it a lot. Some of them might suck, or you might just change your mind, or you might get like 2 or 3 different story ideas. But like, you don't just go do it. It sort of like happens over a long, sort of like, you gotta build up a track record. And one of them, of course, you could get, you know, that first idea be a hit, but like, what's the chances? And this isn't like the advice that tells you to like follow the passion of it, or like a dream, or like the artistic value of it. It's more like saying quantity. I mean, the other stuff's good too, but at the end of the day, like if you got 100 characters designed, you could probably find more to do with them than like if you did 3 or 4. Because you could make a whole cartoon with like 3 or 4 characters. You know, there's people like the dude, forgot his first name, starts with G. I think it's like Tartakovsky, something like that. He made like Samurai Jack and Primal, or Prime, or whatever it's called. But also like Dexter's Lab. You look at Dexter's Lab, they didn't have like that many characters in it. You know what I mean? For the most part. And it was a good show. And you could do that. And that's like, cartoon like that, in some ways, might be like easier. But you know, that wasn't like one idea. I was watching something about him on YouTube just tonight. actually. And like Dee Dee, the character for Dee Dee, was like a ballerina, cartoon ballerina chick that he came up with, apparently kind of separate from the original concept for the kid with the lab in his room. And he kind of like put them together later and came up with the basis for, the basic idea for what became Dexter's Lab. And then that became Dexter's Lab. Dexter's Lab was legit. That was the shit. But like, there's something like, you gotta weigh like all the tips and tricks. So on one hand, output gives you volume to pick from, and you're more likely to have good stuff to pick from in a bag of like 100 than you would be with like a bag of 10. And then there's like, the more you do it, maybe like the more you're gonna do it. I had ambitions to make a comic book and stuff like that someday. And we're talking, I was already like in the 9th grade, 8th grade, kind of thinking about it, thinking about the idea. Wasn't a bad idea. Could have done it. I guess I just kind of lost interest in art to some degree. Kind of drifted towards like, I want to make a game instead. But I didn't do that much. Yeah, I just didn't try enough ideas. Like, and I think you have to go through different ideas sometimes until you just land on an idea that actually works. And theoretically, like in the industry, at some point, you gotta kind of like not be so perfectionist about it, and just kind of like get something done that's good enough, because you got a deadline. Can't be like all whatever you call perfect, because it's just maybe not gonna happen. Of course, you could have like a pet project, like, your brainchild, your life's work, the greatest thing to you. But another thing maybe to keep in mind is like what's great to you isn't necessarily great to everybody else anymore, at least, than like if you had done something else. When someone sees a cartoon or comic for the first time, it's like they didn't expect much necessarily going into it, other than what they gleaned from like advertisements or something, or the cover, basically judging the book by the cover. But like, it could have been a different cover, and who would have known the difference? It could have been a different book, and who would have known the difference? So at some point, it becomes like work, and you just got to get work done. It can be something like a masterpiece, but maybe it doesn't have to be a masterpiece to you. I mean, it could be a masterpiece, but not like the one that you wished. And these are things I kind of like taking note of to tell myself a little bit. Because like, I guess if I'm going to do it, I want to do it well. So I'm trying to formulate something like getting something done, I guess. And I guess that's a lot of what I had for today. So I'm gonna cut it here.